Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Jennifer. We are a middle aged couple with a Regal Unlimited subscription and a real, you know, desire to taste test movie popcorn.
Except we didn't go to Regal
Yeah,
again.
we cheated.
This is the second time in a row we didn't go to Regal.
Yeah. We went to one of my favorite places in this city, I have discovered, United Palace Theater.
Mm. This is the last of the great movie palaces of the 1930s in New York City, and it has been fully restored and renovated, and so it looks the way it did. And it's one of the more beautiful buildings in the city, honestly. Incredibly ornate, maybe too much for some people's tastes, but we like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and they do a movie series every year. Today's movie was Shaun of the Dead, which is a zombie movie. If anybody knows me, I am famously a writer of zombie novels, and so this was a movie that meant a lot to me back in the day, and it's still a great movie.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that it's a back in the day movie. This
Yeah.
movie came out 20 years ago, and it's like, no.
Yeah,
But yeah.
yeah, it's true.
And you can tell, like, I was not even thinking about the fact that it's pre-smartphone, right?
Mm,
So people are not running around videoing what's happening. They're calling each other constantly,
yeah, voice
and
calls.
voice calls and calls to landlines, and these tiny little phones. And it's like, right, like it is, like that element of it is the only element of it that feels like
Dated.
dated.
I didn't
But
even notice.
that was very noticeable to me, because I mean, if you made this movie now, instead of the news reports that you
Mm-hmm.
see in the backdrop, it would be somebody scrolling through YouTube or TikTok
Sure.
and seeing people filming videos of these zombies and then being attacked by the zombies themselves,
Right.
rather than newscasters telling you what's going on. Like, it's actually would be a very different dynamic to information in the film.
So, but before we actually saw the film, they like to do live entertainment to go along with the movies, and this time it was an audience participation event. Our friend Nick was brave enough to get his face painted like a zombie, and he participated in the Zombie Olympics,
The Zombie Olympics.
which was several events. The first one was a zombie dance-off, where you had to dance like a zombie.
To staying alive.
Yeah. And then it was the eyeball race,
Mm-hmm.
like an egg race
Mm-hmm.
where you're holding an egg on a spoon, except this time
In
you
your
had to do
mouth.
it. Well, that was the second heat.
That's what you should have been doing all along, because isn't that the whole point of an egg race? Is why it's hard, as you do it in your mouth.
Because the egg will fall off the spoon.
Okay.
Anyway, they had little gumball eyeballs.
Eyes.
And they had to keep them on a spoon as they raced back and forth across the stage. And then, unfortunately, Nick was eliminated in that round. But then there was a third round, which was attempting to decapitate a mannequin of Michael Myers, strangely enough, with vinyl records. And
A la the movie.
I love the movie, except this way it actually worked.
Yes. And the
because
four people who
they
were
had-
still left had not seen the movie, so they didn't
They
get
had no
the
idea what was
reference.
going on. But they were able to effectively knock the very lightweight head off of this mannequin. So it was a lot of fun. And then we saw the actual movie, and I had forgotten how great that movie is. It is so well made and just so snappy and fun and energetic and exciting and hugely funny. And so as a horror fan, I will say that people constantly tell me, oh, it's the one movie that's actually both funny and scary. And I don't think it's all that scary. There
Yeah.
are some bits, especially towards the end, where it feels very kind of like overwhelming. But it's not really a scary horror movie. It's mostly a comedy, looking back on it now. And in that context, it succeeds enormously well. It's a very funny movie. It's very touching. There's some scenes that are very kind of emotionally important to the movie. It really does set things up and then pay them off in a way that you just don't even see in movies anymore. I think so many movies now are just like, yeah, here's some interesting visuals and theoretically we're going to hit all the plot beats, but we're not actually going to like actually build them to be something that's going to make you feel something.
Because I feel like movies are almost not written anymore. You know what I mean? It's like they're scripted or whatever, but they're not really written. And this was written, right? Like every moment of what you saw or what you heard people say meant something. It gave you, even when you didn't realize it, it told you something that was going to happen or showed you a place or people that you were going to see before. You know, it feels like there's a ton of people in this movie and a ton of people in this world, and there are not. Like, you just see the same people over and over again, either in a day-to-day life kind of way, like here is, you know, Simon Pegg's, you know, day and his commute to work and, you know, his daily routine and whatever, and you see people as part of that because this is in a city. And then you see a whole bunch of zombies. They're all basically the same people, you know, like it's, you know, so in terms of actors, there aren't as many actors as you might think. And, but they don't need to be, right? Like you have this sense of an expansive world where something insane is happening and how it goes down. And everything about the movie is meant to make you know that, be connected to the characters as they go through it, understand what they're doing and their motivation for it very clearly, that follows through and doesn't change and isn't arbitrary, right? And that, you know, like the ending in some ways doesn't make any sense because the ending, you can't follow through the logic of the movie, right? The logic of any zombie movie is that nobody survives. So if you have a zombie movie where somebody survives, something has to stop making internal sense, you know, and you have to do that unless you set the world on fire, you know, like, which they don't. You know, but that's fine. Like, that's what I want. Like, I don't want all the characters to be dead at the end, so I want there to be some Deus Ex Machina or something, you know, some other hand-wavy kind of way of like, and then it ended, you know, like, so, yeah, it's very, very well done and very, just very complete.
Yes.
Like, it's very complete, it's very thorough, it's very funny, it's very well paced. You know, like you have the moments that are leaning towards scary or leaning towards very gross, and then they stop. You know, it's not like, yes, there's zombies, and so I'm going to show you 700 people getting their heads ripped off. You know, like we got it with like one or two. You know, got you. You know, like
I think it's fascinating that in this day and age there are no sequels to this movie.
Yeah.
Like, this movie was very successful in its age, and it, you know, absolutely Edgar Wright would go on to make a lot more movies, but was clearly never tempted by Hollywood money to make a Shaun of the Dead 2, which I'm sure somebody pushed for. He followed this up with Hot Fuzz, which is also a great movie, did not do nearly as well, and then World's End, which I don't think did particularly well at all, and it's also a great movie. I don't know. I could be completely wrong about those box office. Didn't look it up, but he clearly said what he wanted to say in this movie. This is part of the Cornetto trilogy, which includes Hot Fuzz and World's End.
we saw World's End together.
Did we?
In a movie theater,
Okay.
like I think pretty early in our relationship. Now that I'm
Fair
thinking
enough.
about it, yeah.
Did you see Hot Fuzz?
Yeah. And the other two movies came out before we knew each other. You know,
Okay.
like this one and Hot Fuzz. But I think World's End, I feel like I saw that with you
That's
in a movie
distinctly
theater.
possible.
Yeah.
I have not seen it in a long time. All three movies do much the same thing, where they put together this intricate plot that ends up being self-referential in really fun ways without ever getting indulgent about it. I think Hot Fuzz is the least successful of those in those terms, and certainly, you know, it's as much as it's a love letter to crime shows and movies throughout the years. It is, I think, the least successful in terms of like the least fun of the three movies, but living up to this standard of Shaun of the Dead. Oh
Yeah,
my God, that would
yeah.
be so hard.
Yeah.
yeah, I can't imagine the pressure of that. So yeah, this movie it's like a perfect movie. It's in that sense of it has everything it needs to have in it and nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
And every shot, and it moves super fast. So there are a lot of shots in this movie, but every single one of them is important. Every single one of them sticks with you in a really fascinating way. Like there's so many movies where like the first act is largely forgettable, and then you move into the actual action. And that is not the case here. Everything that Shaun sees, everything he does in the 2 days, it's 2 full days before the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah.
And all of those things add up to, be callbacks and references for the second half of the movie in just wonderful ways. And it's just endlessly entertaining and inventive. And I think the most important part of it is that it trusts the viewer to remember every single thing that happens.
Yeah.
There's not a moment in this film that you're allowed to forget.
Yeah.
And that is so refreshing to see a filmmaker who like thinks that you're going to appreciate this, you're going to have a good time with this intricate story, and they don't need to like spoon feed it to you. My immediate thought in watching this was like, oh, they don't make them like that anymore, or they used to be able to make movies. But I think that there are good movies coming out now. There are plenty of great movies that came out in this last year. A lot of them horror movies. I think it's really interesting to me that all of my favorite movies in the last year were horror movies. And this certainly like taps into that tradition. I don't know what I'm trying to say other than, even things like One Battle After Another, which I think we disagreed on, but I certainly think is an amazing film. It just doesn't meet this kind of standard. It's just not that complete. It's not that unified, and it certainly, it drags on too long. There's a lot of flab in that movie, and it just doesn't feel as solid as this, and is carefully made. And I think that, there are arguments that was not Paul Thomas Anderson's intention, that he likes to make these big sort of like floppy movies that have a lot of edges and that don't quite meet up. And I think he's a great filmmaker, but this is just so much more entertaining and just so much more fun.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even compare those two movies. I mean, they're just like trying to do wildly different things, right? Like, I mean, where they're comparable is that we saw them and we were or were not entertained by them. But for me, like, they're trying to accomplish such different things. But I always appreciate a movie or a novel or something that expects that I have a brain.
Yeah.
And having a brain is I can remember things for more than 3 seconds. I can understand that things might be slightly morally complicated. Like, this movie doesn't have huge amounts of like moral complications, but, it has a little bit. And, it makes you want to think about it for 2 seconds. Expects you to remember things and for that to be meaningful. And there are a ton of movies at this point that just don't expect that from a general audience. They expect it from a like highbrow audience, but like I'm just going to make, a mass market movie that you go and sit down with some popcorn and enjoy. I think all those movie makers, even the ones that make movies that I enjoy, mostly think the audience are idiots and make what they make accordingly, and I feel like movies are like that where TV shows are not, right? Some TV shows assume that the audience is smart and some TV shows don't, and there's such a wider range, I feel like, of TV shows in this age of streaming, and that's where those differences are, but that most of the movies, at least that we see, that come through Regal, are just like, you're a simple-minded moron. Like, here is entertainment for your simple-minded moronness.
Yeah, here's your baby food.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that. Like, I enjoy that, right? Like, but I can also watch something that's a little bit more, even if it's not complicated, because Shaun of the Dead is not complicated at all.
Sure it is.
It's not. It's actually really quite simple.
It's a jigsaw puzzle.
But I mean, it's not a puzzle. Like it's a movie that is telling a story in multiple ways. That's not necessarily a puzzle, right?
I think it's a puzzle because all those elements that are introduced at the beginning then get reconnected at the end.
Yeah.
And so it's like this web of references that all pay off in the end.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that a puzzle. Like,
All right.
you know, I'm trying to think of a movie that's doing something like that, where you really are puzzling together what's actually happening. And I can't come up with an example, but they exist.
Murder on the Orient Express.
Sure, but I mean, that's actually intended to be a movie, like, you know, not a mystery story. And I can't think of one, but
Knives Out.
Yeah, maybe, like that's intended to be
Sure.
a mystery, but I don't know. Whatever. Like, again, I can't come up with an example. You don't need to feed me one. That's not what I'm
Okay.
asking you to do. The point I'm making is that I feel like we're looking at it as like a puzzle now, where I don't think you would have said that in 2005, because I think you were, and I was, seeing movies that were more complex, and this was just movie making.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that what movies would do is they'd show you a little bit of this and they'd show you a little bit of that, and you'd hear the characters do a thing, and things would be revealed as it went on. And that's visual storytelling, right? This is done very well, and it has all these like references to like zombie movies and stories of the past and stuff embedded in it as well. And you know, it's extra clever, and that's why it was so popular, you know, when it came out, and why we are still watching it 20 years later. But it's not insanely unusual, I feel like, of how movies have been made. But you know, the superheroification of the 75 Marvel movies we watched in the last 20 years is movie brain rot, is what
Yep.
it is. And we have movie brain rot expectations, and then when we watch something that's not movie brain rot, it's like, oh yeah, oh right, like that's a thing that people can do. Like, make legitimate stories and tell them well and tell them cleverly, like, and be a little bit clever about it, you know, like, yeah.
So I think the reason I was comparing it to One Battle After Another is, which seems like a very strange comparison, is that they're both just very smart movies. Like
See, that's where I disagree with you. I think One Battle After Another thinks it's smart, and
Okay.
it's not.
But just let me finish my thought.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, okay. So when Shaun of the Dead came out, horror movies and comedies were both considered kind of dumb. Like, the idea of, they were dumb fun, right? Horror movies give you the gross out and the scares. Comedies give you a couple chuckles, but they're not expected to have like a real deep plot. This was so intricately made and so smartly done that I think it really blew away everybody's expectations, because Edgar Wright and all the filmmakers were like, we got to give the audience something more than they expect. If we just give them the same old horror zombie movie, if we give them the same old, you know, relationship comedy, we'll do fine, but we're not going to like blow the doors off. This blew the doors off, right? Because it is so much more than that, and it's made in such an incredible way. I think it's not an accident that Edgar Wright was coming out of television, especially British television, where he had been taught how to write these incredibly compact and very, you know, clean scripts. Like, he was writing for 25-minute shows, and so this has that feel of like, we're going to do A, B, and C, and by C you will have had a whole story. And I think that One Battle After Another, which has amazing cinematography and it's got great acting, just doesn't have that great a script. I don't think that movie needed to be all that smart, like with its script and the way it works. I think that movie is just a collection of scenes in a way where I feel like this is, and I'm going to call it a puzzle again, I think it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Jigsaw puzzle doesn't require you to solve some math equation or something, but you need to have all those pieces fit together. Mm-hmm. And you got to remember why this piece is going to go over there, why this piece is going to go over there. And so I think, and Shaun of the Dead does that in such a remarkable way. Whereas One Battle After Another, I felt was just like, and then this happens, then that happens, and the other thing happens, and oh, guess what? That's the end of the movie.
Yeah.
It's not a fair comparison by any means, but it's just it's two movies I was thinking about because I've been thinking a lot about One Battle After Another, and why I liked it and why I didn't like it. And I think I have incredibly ambivalent feelings about it now. Whereas Shaun of the Dead, love it, every bit of it, always will.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's what I got to say about Shaun of the Dead. You have any other thoughts? Because we're not going to do spoilers. We didn't describe the plot at all.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, no. I mean, this movie's been out for 20 years. If you haven't seen it, just go watch it.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
So we're not going to spoil it now.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely recommended, 100%.
It's a British movie, so it's got a bunch of actors in it that you're like, oh, I've seen that guy in something before,
Yes.
or I've seen that woman in something before, and when you don't register it, and then it's also like, oh, right, this is what this person looked like 20 years ago, what does this person look like now? Oh, yeah, that's the person from that thing, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Okay, go see Shaun of the Dead.
Yep.
Or rent it or whatever.
Yeah, rent it.
Unlike Amazon or whatever.
Stream it. I'm sure it's on some platform that you have. I'm sure you do not have to pay an extra monies to see it.
Okay. All right, so until next time.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Bye.